1993, Schumacher was sizing ADELAIDE for a carbon copy of his manoeuvre into the hairpin on lap 1, but ADELAIDE wasn't having it this time. With bits of Ferrari flying, ADELAIDE headed straight for the pits.
Haven't won the last 3 of the last 4 races, and you know, really naturally everyone wants to keep their fingers crossed, hope there's no problems, and maybe he can win the championship.
Well, Schumacher certainly doing his best to make sure he gets up onto the front row of the grid, and he's 83 thousandths of a second away from Nigel Mansell. We're about to come on to the quickest part of the circuit, this Jones straight. It's not so much here, it's when you go through the 4th gear corner, over the curb, now with Michele Alboreto, not somebody Michael Schumacher will be very happy to have ahead of him. Michele stays well over to the right, no problem at all, and he's lost that time, but again, that's simply just down to horsepower. He now has to try and claw it back in this last run through a sequence of left-hand corners, then into that final very quick right-hand corner before heavy braking all the way down to 2nd gear, and then back on the start, finish straight. But Michael Schumacher, he looks very close indeed to what we've seen Mansell and Hill do, and this only his first really clear flying lap.
Michael Schumacher, 0.068 on his first flying lap. Well, that is what we can call very impressive indeed.
And more importantly, he looks to have a clear track ahead of him. No distractions, no concern about the car ahead of me. Are they going to, will they let me through, whatever.
Well, the man looks awesome from this camera angle. Michael Schumacher on his way to the 2nd intermediate point.
And just when I thought my bet with ADELAIDE was beginning to look quite sweet, Michael Schumacher comes out, and we have to wait and see 2nd intermediate time. It's closed again. That is simply a function of the amount of downforce that Benetton run on the car to try and get the lap time. They sacrifice top speed because simply Williams and Renault have just got about 70 horsepower more. But the Benetton Ford looks now to be working very well. You can see the car is, the grip's there, Alan, and this is only his 2nd timed lap.
Michael Schumacher on his way to a provisional pole, a 1:16.197.
Schumacher's got 3 remaining.
Well, John, I think Michael Schumacher's got run remaining because he's running out of time.
Indeed, yes.
Remaining.
Yeah, indeed, time is the factor that's going to bring Schumacher's run. Oh, and there is Michael Schumacher, who's had an almighty accident, and that is left front, left rear, and Michael Schumacher, and this is just, I think, after start finish the Senna chicane, and that is a very heavy shunt indeed. Bodywork, parts of the car, Schumacher totally unhurt, but having got himself to the point of challenging Nigel Mansell, that shows you how much pressure has been.
And the session has been stopped. There's a red flag.
And just, this is the section of circuit just on the exit of that Ayet de Senna chicane, and has had very heavy contact. Let's watch again. Schumacher coming in, clips the curve at the inside, gets it all wrong, and then there is only one place he's going to end up, and that is in the tire wall. Rear first, front follows, bang! Oh, and that is very, oh dear me, and Schumacher extremely fortunate indeed. Bits of the car, suspension, drive shaft, wishbones, and finally noses its way up to the tire wall. And what drama. We've seen excitement here, we've seen tension, but what drama. Well, look at the energy. That car hit probably at 200 kilometers per hour. Fortunately, it was backwards first. And, well, is that the first chink in the sort of the facade of the strength that Schumacher has displayed throughout the year? That was a driving error. He just pushed too hard going through that chicane, desperate to be in pole position, desperate to reassert himself as the man here in control.
The session has stopped early, and I don't think it'll be restarted with 1 minute and 7 seconds to go, because Michael Schumacher spun off and demolished his car He is currently second behind Nigel Mansell.
He's going to need some rescue remedy.
That looks, Schumacher's off. Schumacher's lost time. Hill goes by.
Oh, out goes Schumacher. The German is out of the Australian Grand Prix, and Damon Hill only has to keep going to be world champion of 1994. But can he keep going? Because he hit Schumacher's car, and if Damon Hill has to retire and you see smoke pouring off the wheel, that will mean that Schumacher will be world champion. What an incredible development. Schumacher gets underneath the protective barrier. Now you can see Damon Hill's right front wheel is canting right over. He's got a puncture in the front left.
Yes, and I think hopefully, no, he's bent his wishbone as well. We can see it on the onboard camera there. He's got a bent left front suspension. But what needs to happen now? Clearly Schumacher is out. The question is, can they repair Hill's car? Can he get out? And can he get into the top 6 and get a point? Or get 2 points, in fact. He needs a 5th, but it's not looking good. We didn't see what happened. I'd like to see, here we are. Now we are in the Wakefield. Schumacher turns into the left. He's turning into the left. He gets too sideways. He goes off. Schumacher's made the mistake. He hits the wall. He's damaged his own car. And then he comes back to the left. And then he blocks the inside on the right. Damon is coming in. Now that's bad from Schumacher. Schumacher should have known his car was damaged. Damon had the line. I'm afraid that is a fundamental mistake, I believe, from Michael Schumacher at a real moment of crisis.
And there will be people, of course, who say, as we see this replay of Schumacher going into the wall, that was a desperate manoeuvre by Schumacher to stop Damon Hill winning the championship. Into the wall he goes. Now the question is, can Damon Hill get in and have his car repaired? You see the front left wheel is locked up. Now Nigel Mansell is going to go through in the lead, but he was 54 seconds behind the leaders. Damon obviously extremely worried. The question is, how long is it going to take them to repair whatever damage there was? You see he's been in the pits for about 16 seconds now. And Mansell has gone through, Berger has gone through, Alesi has gone through, Hakkinen has gone through.
And Patrick Head there's looking at that left front wishbone. Hill shaking his head. He knows in his heart of hearts that it is all over. Now here's some on board from Damon Hill. Let's have a look. We're into the Westfield bends. Now let's look for Schumacher. Schumacher there has already had his moment. There he is bouncing off the right-hand wall. Schumacher deflecting back. Schumacher going wide. Damon seeing him slow. Damon goes for the inside there. And now that really should have been. Now look at that. Schumacher cuts across, rides over the wheels. The left rear wheel of Schumacher hits Damon's left front. That should have been Damon's corner, even disregarding anything else in my book.
as Damon Hill retires from the Australian Grand Prix, and the 1994 World Championship has been won, a lot of people will say by default, by Michael Schumacher. As the Benetton team congratulate each other, they know that their man has won the World Championship, but he doesn't, because he's still stuck behind the wire. Well, an amazing development. Schumacher would not want to have won the World Championship that way, I am utterly sure, with a heartbroken Damon Hill watching the monitor. This is bitter gall. He's won 6 races this year. If he could have just finished 2 points ahead of Michael Schumacher, he would have been world champion in only his second full season of Grand Prix racing. Michael Schumacher, scarcely able to believe his luck, is, I think, unashamedly weeping tears of joy and happiness at the knowledge that after a very grueling season, when his team has been accused of cheating, has won the World Championship. And meantime, Jean Alesi is in the pits.
And Alesi has stalled there. That's what happened. They're trying to restart the car. Let's just hope this is not a repeat of the Italian Grand Prix Monza incident when he lost all drive. But I really think this is, in some ways, it's a very, very sad occasion here today. But what a shame that it could not have gone the way it should have done, with Damon looking so strong and Schumacher still just ahead all the way to the flag.
Some of the work was done, of course, earlier in the year, earlier in the week.
Grand Prix victory for a little over 2 years on your return to Formula One. But today, perhaps more than anybody, after your experiences here 8 years ago with that famous tyre blowout, you will know exactly how Damon Hill must be feeling today.
Yeah, but, you know, I've got to say, first of all, what a fantastic job he's done. I mean, he brought the championship alive, he won those races, which he had to, and I don't know the outcome of it. Obviously, he's lost the championship, but I tell you what, I'm for one, very proud, and the whole country should be. He's done fabulous.
Well, you certainly proved a point yourself this afternoon, and with this victory, you surely indicated your desire to be back in Formula One full-time. How were the experiences today, and also perhaps a thought for the future?
Well, I mean, I think Gerhard summed it up on the podium, but I can't repeat what he said.
I just said we are all three, the first three together, 120 years.
He called me an old bastard.
Nigel 50, Nigel 50, and me 25.
Getting back to the race for a second. The Constructors' Championship also clinched today with your victory. Yeah. Must be a great fillip for the team after a very, very difficult year.
Yeah, very difficult year indeed, and obviously very disappointing for the team, for Damon especially, but when there's a loser, there's a winner, and I have to say congratulations to Michael. He's done a fantastic job all year. Many congratulations, Michael.
Thanks.
Can we go now?
Well, turning to you, Michael. World champion. The first German world champion in the championship's 45-year history. But I'm sure that there are a lot of people, including yourself, who would not have wished to have seen the championship decided in this way.
Certainly, I mean, it was a very great battle between me and Damon in the stage of the race. Tough race, I have to say, and he has done really a good job during that race. We both haven't done mistakes, and it was really, really, I would say, thrilling for you at the outside. I have to say that I did make some comments this year that about Damon, that I didn't have that kind of respect that I maybe had about somebody else. But I have to admit that I was wrong, because what he has done in the last 2 races in particular, and he must have done even before, has been a proper and fantastic job. And he has been a great rival, and I must say sorry for what I maybe said but I'd like to congratulate him for all his good jobs he has done so far. But nevertheless, the feeling about the championship, winning the championship, which I nearly won earlier this year, and then got banned for a couple of races and couldn't continue, lost a lot of points, where I thought now it's going to be very, very tough and difficult to make this championship up again. Just now sitting here and won it, it's a dream. The emotions in me. I mean, Nigel can talk about this as well. You can't really bring it outside. I mean, I just have them here and can't express them. Or
it will get better.
It will get better. It's great. I must really as well say that our team has this year done a really, really good job. With the package we had available, we really squeezed down 100%. There was nothing left. As you saw, it got more and more difficult towards the end of the season, but they have done a really, really good job, and I'd like to thank to these people. But I have something special to say about this whole season. The season has been started quite well, I would say, in Brazil. Even ADELAIDE, it was a good race, and then we came up to Imola. And what happened there is just when I talked about nightmare before, then I have to say it's in the other direction, and all of us know what kind of feelings we had to make about this in particular for Ayrton, but as well for Roland and as well for Carl, what happened in Monte Carlo. For me, it was always clear that I'm not going to win the championship, and it's Ayrton who is going to win the championship, but he hasn't been there for the last races, and I'd like to take this championship and give it to him, because he is the driver who should have earned it. He had the best car, he was the best driver, and that's my feelings about him. It was difficult at the time to show my feelings, because I'm not somebody who likes to show the feelings to the outside, but I always thought about it, and it's the right time now to give something which I achieved, which he should have achieved, to give it to him. Thank you.
Well, Gerhard, race of excitement and drama.
First, I want to say congratulations to Michael. Well done. Very good. To say Michael did a brilliant job all the year. Not many mistakes. And I think he really deserved it. I'm sorry about Damon. I think Damon, as Michael says, showed, especially the last two races, that he also is able to do a great job. He also is able to win the championship. And it's always like this. One has to win it and one lose it, but he's gonna have still time to win it, and he's gonna do it. The race after today was very hard for myself, because I had to start in 11th position, and I was stuck in traffic in the beginning. It was very, very difficult, but suddenly I found myself under good conditions behind Nigel. We had a good fight. Unfortunately, I did a mistake. I touched the curb and then went off. I was very, very lucky. And then I was very upset with Frentzen, because he didn't look into the mirror. I spent 2 laps behind him. And
pay him some money.
I think so. I was very surprised that he's not able to look into the mirrors. He's very disappointed in this, in a fighting situation like he was, but happened. And then I not really had any chance anymore to fight Nigel. But I'm happy like this. It's because before the race I didn't think that I'm going to be second. And he did a great job. I think it cannot be possible, 50 years, to be still pushing like this. And he didn't do any mistake, and he was really great driving. Congratulations. Thanks.
Martin, your best result since Monaco earlier in the year, and this was the time for you to pull it out of the bag. Great performance this afternoon.
Yeah, I feel 21 years old today, that's for sure. Yeah, thanks, mate. Well, it's really good to be up here amongst friends, you know. It's been a difficult year for the Grand Prix drivers, and we've pulled through it together in many ways. It's been a privilege for me to drive for McLaren through the season, and I'd just like to thank my many fans and my family who've supported me through what has at times been a difficult year, but here we are, and we're going to have a party tonight.
Well, perhaps finally, before we go, an extraordinary race this afternoon. Comment from you first, Nigel, and then back to Michael.
Well, I can share Michael's feelings entirely. I mean, I'm a little bit numb. I hit the wall, I think, on the first lap and went off the track and in the air, and you know, then I was third, then I was first, then I was second, and we had a fight all the way through, and Gerhard just didn't let us have a rest. I mean, I was ready to take a breather out there, but there was no way. We were being pushed. But to Roseanne and to my 3 children, Chloe, Greg and Leo, it's extra special because now I've won every year since 1985, I think, so that's very special.
Michael, final thought?
Final thought. I mean, I've talked about a lot of things before, and if I just could say as well to my family some regards, because they are sitting in front of the TV and crossed all the fingers. It was difficult for them as well this year, but they have been a big support as well as my girlfriend, as their parents, and a lot of people have been always behind me.
Okay, well, thank you very much and congratulations to all 4 of you.
Thank you.
Now, Michael, you've got a chance to talk to everybody at home again.
A father-son relationship with his 27-year-old Finnish star. Bernie Ecclestone, the driving force behind the Formula 1 World Championship, and 3 of the drivers' safety delegates, Michael Schumacher, Gerhard Berger and Damon Hill, along with Raimund Brunsereide, the FIA's official safety delegate and the starter for the Formula 1 Grand Prix, and one of the Goodyear technicians taking a ride out around the circuit. Clearly worries very high that not just Häkkönen's car had been had a tyre damaged by possibly debris out on the circuit, but 2 other drivers suffered similar problems very early on in the session as well. They were Pedro Lamy in his Minardi and British driver Johnny Herbert in the Benetton. Herbert later crashed during qualifying in an unrelated incident, but the drivers clearly trying to spot areas around the circuit which may potentially have led to the problems. Initial interest around the curb cam mounted at the first chicane at the end of the starting straight, and that unlikely to have been the cause certainly of Häkkönen's problem. His accident was too far round the circuit. The McLaren telemetry says the deflation on the tyre was almost instantaneous, and Häkkönen found himself as he turned into the 110-mile-an-hour 4th gear right-hander that links the 2 fastest parts of the circuit, the Jones and Brabham straights, very much a passenger. This is the area, as the car arrives now at the curb, where Häkkönen emerged backwards. The very low curve now been lowered since last season due to drivers' requests. Still enough to bring the car 2 or 3 inches off the deck, and at the speeds that he was going, that is quite enough to lift the car up. The single rows of tyres there protecting the barrier, the white tyres, the replacements that allowed the session to continue, the area of the impact of the McLaren. And the main problem with the McLaren was that it did go in sideways, having done almost a 360-degree spin, barely touched the ground between